Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ontario Cryptids. Today I'm going to share some of the comments left on my videos that are too long to make into a short. These are people's personal experiences with the wild men or women of the forest, so the format may not be my traditional Google map if the general location is not provided. And I will also be adding the usual encounter stories in my regular format. If you have an encounter story that you would like to share, then please forward your stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. I will be honored to share your story with like-minded people. Now sit back and relax as we begin with today's episode. I don't recall which video this one was left on, but it was left by John H. I'm not going to say his full last name. And this one occurs in 1982 in July, and it takes place somewhere between Washington and Oregon. Ontario Cryptids. Once you feel it, you can't forget it. At least I never will. 1982, July, Oregon, Highway 101. I was in the middle of nowhere. Me and my friend from high school just graduated, and we decided to take a little trip down the coast to see what we could see. We started in Long Beach, Washington, and just kept hitchhiking. It's difficult to make it into a short story, but I'll try. About 7 p.m. or so, we got tired of walking and decided to make camp up near a KOA campground. We were going to sneak in somehow and take a shower. We had very little cash, being broke teenagers, you know. We found a spot about 100 yards off the side of the road and immediately felt something ain't right here. It was way too quiet, like a dead zone. I remember the smell. Stinks like a skunk. Memories. Skunk smell lingers in one area, but this was coming from a different direction as we moved around pitching our tent. We heard odd noises all around us. It was quiet a minute ago, not even birds, no breeze either. Thump, thump, thump. A rock came sailing past my head, and Joey yelled, "Look at that!" But I saw nothing. We both looked at each other and ran. We left our stuff right where it lay. He grabbed my shirt and I grabbed his, and away we went. By the time we made it to the road, it was getting dark and we could hear whatever it was stomping through the brush on both sides of the road. Off to the east, there was a clearing just past a stand of trees, and with the full moon coming out, it backlit the ground. The road was built up higher than the surrounding land, and as I looked up over my shoulder, out stepped a Sasquatch. This thing was huge, at least 10 feet tall. He was down in the weeds and I was up in the road, and we stared eye to eye in the moonlight. Then my friend pulled me out of my stupor and we ran like crazy a full mile up to the KOA, ran right past the gate guard and straight to the payphone and called his folks and mine to tell the tale. We stayed right there at the payphone until the first light and then went back to find our tent and belongings torn to shreds. I guess they did not like us being there. It was a family of them, I'm sure. To my dying breath, I swear this is true. Best time in my life. I had many great adventures on that trip. My friend stayed in California when we got there, so I went to San Francisco. I hopped on a bus home. I never saw my friend again. Thanks for listening. Keep believing. They are out there. I can still smell them. This comment was left on the shorts Pig Ripped in Half, North Queensland. Eric M. says, "Finding this is extraordinary, but finding it is one thing. Realizing that this predator is still in the bush is hard to understand. But this is their backyard, and you're in it. It has only been left because you interrupted its hunting efforts. Here on the Idaho-Montana border, USA, I have seen full-size 1,400-pound elk with ripped-off heads and the body just laying there, after having to pay a worker for snow removal and getting stuck in the snow. In steep mountains, having to get out and walk down the hill to find their house, which I figured I passed. The forest was thick and dark with super deep ravine, and I had a very strong feeling of being watched as I inspected the elk and having no gun. The Highland Werewolf Hunter Continental Divide. Sasquatch or werewolf having the strength of 1,000 men is a trait of their behavior. When a huge animal of weight, bull, cattle, elk, its body weight acts as an anchor. Weak pivoting point to rip a neck head clean off. Leverage. We are infested with both species out here. This comment was left on episode 145 by Scotty B. Hi, I always watch your videos and I forward them to my sister and brother-in-law. Number 3 video looks like it was filmed in Laxall in northwestern Ontario, where I lived for 16 years, and it was a fishing guide. I owned a hunting and fishing camp outside of Ear Falls. The footage looks very similar to a group of islands in front of the entrance to Sawmill Bay, a very large area on Laxall. Someday, I will share my experiences with you and go back to the late 1970s. I consider myself an amateur cryptozoologist. My interest began with the Patterson-Gimlin film in the 60s when it first appeared in theaters. Uncut footage was all they showed on small millimeter film. My dad was a believer and worked with the man that was supposed to be the shooter of the white-faced monster in North Minnesota back in the late 60s or early 70s. I deer hunted in the area as a young boy with my dad and never thought about Sasquatch being in the area. The more I think about it, the more goosebumps I get. I have a cousin who's an executive producer for the show Monster Quest. He too had had an experience in Alaska. A big fan of your show. Sincerely, Scott. This is going to be the last comment for today. This one is by Tom M. And he's referencing a shorts that I did on giants, which is probably a topic I'm going to cover in the future. Hi, Van. I've just been trying to find out some information online about this, and it seems like they're trying to convolute this story with other finds from the past and label this one as a hoax. There's a lot of this story missing now online. I know for sure this happened. I was living in Barrie at the time, and a farmer was excavating his land and came across these. I know for sure this happened. I was living in Barrie at the time, and a farmer was excavating his land and came across these. People from all over were going to look at this, but the problem started when many of them were taking artifacts that were found with the remains. The farmer eventually ended up burying them up again because the lack of respect people had. If I'm not mistaken, the remains were traced back to a tribe of Indians from about 250 years ago, and many of the skeletons were around 9 feet tall, and many looked as if they were killed in a battle. I was actually going to go and see this with a friend, and when we had planned to go, the farmer had then stopped all visitations and started reburying the graveyards. I hope you can find more information on this. It's 100% true. God bless you, Van. Appreciate all of your efforts in all you do. I hope you can find more information on this. It's 100% true. God bless you, Van. Appreciate all your efforts in all you do. Appreciate all your efforts in all you do. I hope you all enjoyed the episode today. I would like to thank John, Eric, Scotty, and Tom for sharing your comments and experiences with the OC community. I'm still fortunate to be able to read all of your comments, so when I see a story, I usually screenshot it on my phone. I have a few more to share. Most of them become my shorts, but for the longer ones, I will continue to sprinkle them in my weekly episodes. Tom, I did find the Cayuga newspaper regarding the 200 skeletons found by the farmer, but one of the bookmarks that I had previously captured is no longer available. Very interesting. I will be doing an episode solely on giant skeletons found around the world, so stay tuned for that. Now I would like to thank the current OC members, and if you want to become a member, then head on over to the Communities tab on my channel to learn more. The current members are Jim, Teresa, Elizabeth, and Joe. Thank you all so very much for your support. I think I will be updating my current video that I have on how to become a membership because the one that I currently have is outdated. If these stories remind you of an encounter that you may have had and would like to share, then please forward your stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. I would be honored to share your story on this channel. Thank you all for listening until the end. I truly appreciate it. Please hit the like button on your way out and smash the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. Have yourselves a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week right here on Ontario Cryptids.